if a homeowner or whomever is going to Google, they're typing in their service and you pop up at the top, it's almost instant credibility. Not to mention, that's kind of why I went to my number 3, which is paid search. Companies can pay to get at the top, which is more expensive. So your lead acquisition cost is going to go up. But I think long term, the strategy is organic optimization.
This is the Business Storytelling Show with Christoph Trapp. Name a top 20 storytelling podcast and a top 5% podcast globally. Christoph chats with thought leaders and experts to share tips and tricks that can help you tell your company's stories better to drive business results. Available wherever you listen to podcasts, live streamed on major social media channels, and part of the DB&A television network. Available on most U.S. television sets and streaming on Roku and Amazon Fire. Here's Christoph with today's episode. Let's go.
Let's the storytellers. How's everyone doing? Hey, today we want to talk about transparent marketing. What the heck is that? So I'm always for transparency, but we will see if I am in agreement with today's guest on what transparent marketing is, whether or not it's a good thing, whether or not companies should do it. But of course, there might be different a variety of definitions of what that even means to us. I'm joined by Wesley Matthews. He's the co-founder and chief growth officer at High Level Marketing, a marketing agency that you can certainly check out. So let's find out, what is transparent marketing? How should we do it? Why should we do it? And maybe just the latest buzzword. So I don't know. We'll find out. Wesley, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for the fist bump. So let's talk about transparent marketing. I'm an SEO guy. I like definitions. Give me the definition. What is transparent marketing?
Yeah. So to me, transparent marketing is simple. So all clients, for the most part, have a website. If they're spending money in digital marketing or SEO, as you alluded to, transparency in terms of what are your dollars that you're spending actually going to, and what is that actually netting you in terms of results? So as a digital marketing agency selling website design, development, SEO, and paid search, transparent in the sense of every dollar you spend, you know exactly where that's going and what that's netting for you. That's a simple form of transparent marketing, in my opinion.
Well, I'm kind of glad to hear it, because one of the definitions floating around the net is companies that list their salaries of all the employees because they're trying to appear transparent, which in my opinion, that is not the way you show transparency. You show transparency. There's many, many other ways, but again, there's different definitions, of course, out there. Now, when you talk about transparency, where your funds are going, of course, that's, you work for an agency, that's for the working with clients. But how do you quantify what goes where and what does it bring? I mean, I'm thinking about podcasting or content in general, right? Podcasting and content works, but it's really hard to say this episode with Wesley is the episode that's
going to generate you $1 million, right?
Right, that brought in the $1 million. I mean, I'm sure it will, Wesley, right? But how do you know?
I can tell you that right now. No, I mean, I understand what you're asking, and it's a great question. I mean, I originally founded the company in 2009. We've had a long journey, 2022. We have since consolidated High Level with another company, Bell Media, and now we're this larger company together. What I mean by that is, if you're a water restoration company, you should know your lead acquisition cost. So we work with all of our customers so they clearly understand what their lead acquisition cost is. Meaning, if I was able to give you an opportunity right now and you're a water damage company, you might say our lead acquisition cost needs to be around $250 or $500 or $1,000. Every business is a little bit different, but we've established metrics, KPIs, where we know what we're able to generate for a service business in a local market. So behind the framework of everybody involved, like relative to technology, team, people, we know the origination cost of that lead. So what makes it transparent and what makes this flow very well is when we work with our right target audience, if that lead is 250, we're cooking in our profit margins in that number, which is comfortable for them. Like, hey, if I got a lead for $250 all day, every day, and we got 10 to 20 to 100 of those a day, their metrics work. That's really what we establish with our clients, is really helping them figure out what their cost per lead acquisition is, which allows them to build the sales model, the lead funnels, and kind of architect their company. So right now, there's a big challenge out there with companies. A lot of them don't even know what their lead acquisition cost is, nor would be, or what it should be. So we really come in and just help clean that up and align ourselves with the right types of businesses where it's profitable for them and it's profitable for us, and we can be really effective and drive the leads and value.
What's interesting to figure all this out to me is, the journey map of many customers, right? It's not really, it's kind of all over the place. They come in, they go out, they do whatever. When you talk about knowing your lead acquisition cost, are we only talking about advertising here, or how does that, where does that play out?
So really, we are a web and digital marketing company. So our services, starting at the top, is I always look for the website design development aspect first, then organic optimization, organic SEO, and then paid search. Because for me, I don't care what you do or how you market or advertise, that website better be number one. The foundation, it's got to be solid. Number two, I think the best bang for the buck is organic optimization. And then number three is paid search. Now, to your question of, if a customer is doing radio, if they're doing TV, to me, like, what's get measured gets done. So we can help customers measure lead flow from pretty much any type of campaign that they're doing by methods of tracking and how we're incorporating this all through the web. So whether it's we're attributing a lead acquisition cost through organic SEO, paid search, billboard media, TV, we're able to help that client really understand, let's just keep on the water damage example at $250 a lead. If they're spending 10 grand on a TV slot and their lead acquisition cost is, $5,000 and they got 2 leads, relative to, generating leads over here for $250, we kind of help customers evaluate what's working and what's not working. Hopefully that answers your question.
We can go down the TV slot debate for hours here at a time. I actually made a pretty large purchase last year based on a commercial on TV, believe it or not. I'm this, forward-looking kind of guy here and trying all the new things. But yes, I still have direct TV. Yeah. So sometimes it does work, but certainly it's hard to measure. It's hard to, scale depending on where you're even showing your TV spot. Now, you mentioned the best bang for your buck is organic. I think you called it organic optimization. I'm the last person you're going to have to convince on that statement, but kind of dive into that a little bit and explain what that means and how does that look and why is that the best bang for the buck?
For sure. So, keeping on the water damage example, right? I think from a, getting your company ranked on Google, when somebody's going to the web, Google, for instance, and typing in water damage restoration company, local water damage company, identifying what keywords are relevant and what people are actually searching, coming up at number 1, 2, and 3. There's data and analytics that even show the difference of the amount of clicks you're going to get if you're number 1 versus number 4. It's so important because number 1, it adds almost instant credibility to your company. Look, if a homeowner or whomever is going to Google, they're typing in their service and you pop up at the top, it's almost instant credibility. Not to mention, that's kind of why I went to my number 3, which is paid search. Companies can pay to get at the top, which is more expensive. So your lead acquisition cost is going to go up. But I think long term, the strategy is organic optimization. So you may not be at the top page today. You might be on page 2 or page 4, but really helping clients understand the value of getting to that number 1 position, how much it's going to cost and what that's going to net them based on the data is really, really important just for the overall sustainability of your company and digital marketing campaign. So, and to touch on your earlier point, I look at digital marketing, organic and paid, as a good portion of the portfolio. But if you want to look at this as, not an individual stock per se, but more of like a mutual fund approach, I still think that if there's opportunities for TV, radio, or mediums, we just help educate the customer to help them understand that if you're spending money, you need to track it and you need to understand what it's actually generating from a lead standpoint. And we help customers do that. So we're not really in the business of taking away. We're just helping companies identify what's working and what's not working.
I'm always a fan of tracking everything and knowing what works and what doesn't. The one thing I would like to remind people of, however, is that if you have some kind of content agency or people creating content for you, it does take time, it does take expertise, and sometimes it certainly takes a while to see the returns on that.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking when you were just talking about the paid results and the organic results, I mean, it even helps if you have, one of the top results organically, and, if you have an ad. I mean, they all kind of go hand in hand. And then, of course, if you stop your ad campaign, you're still number one. What tips do you offer clients and people to optimize their SEO? I mean, I know when Greg Gifford was on the show, he talked about blogging is important. Blogging helps lift the entire site. Inbound links, certainly they help. I always like the example of local companies that sponsor sports teams, and they never ask for the link back because there's no traffic. And Greg said, it's not about the traffic. It's about the link, right? To show people that you have authority locally. What other tips can you offer and share with people?
Yeah, I think for me, what's most important is the structure of the actual website and the framework and like where it's hosted, right? So like we have our own proprietary technology that we built, because there's a lot that goes into building a website. I mean, sometimes somebody might hear, oh, it's just a website. It's pretty simple, right? But there's a lot of back end things that need to happen, and website structure is important. So you want to make sure that you're on the right foundation, and that's like step one. You also want to make sure that citations are correct foundationally in your website. So that's something that we make sure that companies are set up correctly with citations properly. Sort of like, you need to have the first steps before you can start really stacking on really big, optimizations. But yeah, to the point, I love blogs. I love content, having fresh, relevant content. And I'll mention to people, if you're sending an email monthly or whatever the frequency is to your customers, turn that into content and put that on your website, and also include that in the newsletter, get that link out there, but also put that on your website, keep adding content, video podcast is super important. If you can even create a video on YouTube or other resources where if you title that video correctly, for example, if you're a water damage company, I'm in Southeast Michigan outside Detroit, so I live in a town called Northville. If I put like water damage tips and tricks Northville and like talked on a video and uploaded that page properly, you're going to get exposed, and you're going to get ranked on search engines. So yeah, I mean, I think I follow the same lines of the blog, posting videos. Reviews are extremely important. My recommendation is it's probably 15. I'll even go high to say 25% importance of your overall SEO strategy. Work on getting relevant reviews in Google. And again, the content that's in there is going to help. Google Maps going to help boost everything up. So you mentioned, being at the top for paid, being at the top for organic. In the middle, there's Google Maps. And oftentimes we have companies positioned on number one paid, number one on the map, number one on organic, which is just awesome.
And what's interesting about Google Maps too is, I get it. Some companies work out of their homes, but make sure whatever is showing up when people search for you, that does represent what you want, how you want to be represented. I mean, I've seen that before. Some contractor, and the picture is like an open garage door, and you don't really know what's going on in the picture. It's not super relevant.
Right.
When you talk about transparency, how does that show up in the day-to-day? I mean, certainly, when it comes to my SEO reporting and I look at SEO, I can just pull it up every day, right? And it's the same report. I can see what's going on. But how do you report? How do you collaborate, I guess, with your teams and your clients when it comes to these transparency metrics?
Yeah. So every customer that we work with, we set goals and objectives for the year. Even though we might work with, let's say 10 different water damage companies, they're all doing business a little bit different. They're all at different stages of the business cycle. I mean, some might have one truck, some might have 100 trucks. We sort of meet them where they're at to understand their objectives. And then we lay out a plan and a strategy for the following year and to come in the future. So transparency is created when we set the goals. We have phenomenal tools and dashboards. we take a very white glove approach with our customer base. So every customer has a dedicated customer service manager who understands the goals and objective of the campaign. And they're constantly meeting with our customers, showing them what we're doing, showing them the results, showing them that, the KPIs, which stands for key performance indicator, of all the work we're doing to strive to hit that goal. So we take a tailored custom fit approach with every client, but we make it really, really easy. I mean, I know that this industry can be very complicated. It's sort of intimidating. Customers are spending a lot of money. They're putting a lot of trust. So we really meet people where they're at and use our dashboards to our advantage to help them understand, what am I paying for? What am I getting? And, to your point earlier, we do a lot of call tracking too. So whether it's TV or pushing people to phone numbers, we can actually pipe that into our systems as well to really show the value of other marketing that's going on, as long as, in addition to like what we're doing for the customer too. So yeah, it's kind of a collaboration with open and transparency. So nobody really ever has to question, like, I spent X amount of dollars last month. Like what's going on with my campaign? We just avoid all that by having open and honest dialogue right away.
One thing you mentioned is the setting of goals. Certainly, I'm very interested in setting the right goals. I'm also very interested in setting the right habits. Big fan of Atomic Habits by that book. A fantastic read. Really would recommend that to everybody. If you search for Christoph Trapp on Amazon storefront, you can find my review on there. But we've had people on here, Wesley, who talk about companies not setting very realistic goals. Hey, we need 7,000 leads. And how did you even come up with that number? Are there even 7,000 people in our target market? How do you, when you go in and talk to people, especially companies that haven't done, let's say, digital marketing or integrated marketing very much, how do you set realistic goals and how do you set those expectations?
Yeah, good question. Again, so we're coming into like our 13th year in business. And quite frankly, when we first started, we were everything to anybody that would hire us. Over the last several years, we've really kind of shimmed down who we work with and who are we best in the world with. So we've developed some technology to avoid the situation that you just mentioned by way of analyzing the market. So again, I'm just going to stick on this water damage example in our area. If I'm having a conversation with somebody, I can assess the market through our tools and our technology that we created to understand in the digital marketing world how many leads we think we can generate for that customer. So the customer coming to us and saying, we need 7,000 leads, we're going to come back with a plan of reality and say, the realization is if you spend this, you can get that, this, that, but like, here's the overall market and what the capabilities and potential could be. So we're all about setting the realistic expectations, and we try to educate customers based on market, on real data, because we know that we can perform on that data with our technology and our team. So that's where it just becomes open and honest. Like, we're not that company that I would just say 7,000 leads, you got it, let's go, we'll try hard, because we just know it's not going to work. So for us, we want to align ourselves with the right types of customers as well, where we know we can perform and add a lot of value. I mean, our goal is to get customers on board, have a great relationship, and retain them forever. I mean, we have customers that have been on board since I've created the company back in 2009, and the company looks very different today in the sense that we have over 2,000 customers that we service monthly. We have about 130 team members on the team. We're spread across multiple states now. So, we're fortunate in the sense that we know who we want to target and we know who we want to work with. And it works really, really well.
Yeah, not every customer is a good customer, certainly, especially if they're looking for something you don't even offer, or you're not an expert in necessarily. Let's talk about what is the best way to actually be transparent. So I know sometimes we hear people talk about, oh, I'll send you a report, and then nobody looks at the report. Sure. Or we have a meeting and then people aren't paying attention in the meeting, right? So It's like, how do you win? How do you get people to pay attention? Yeah. But what are some of the best ways that you've seen to actually get the message across and not just share it, but it gets comprehended and listened to?
I think that we've created a culture within our organization where we take a more consultative approach when we meet with prospects and people interested in digital marketing. So they have to have an understanding of, we're going to work together. We're going to lay out some objectives, and this is what we're doing. So there's like a buy-in process on both sides. So again, I mean, I'm not going to say that there aren't challenges, or sometimes clients may forget the goals that we set early on. But again, I think it's just our process and our team of like really building this white glove relationship, sharing the data, hand holding the customer through the process, setting up the right points. I mean, we do a phenomenal job of like our fulfillment team in terms of our deliverable, project management, the team. And then once we are actually delivering the product, it goes to a customer service manager whose job essentially is to manage that customer cradle to grave. And they do just such a thorough job and build a relationship. So, again, we understand what's most important to that customer, because using, as a water damage company, if you line up 10 different businesses, what's important to one may not be important to the other. That's the job of the customer service manager to understand, where are they at? Like, what do they understand? What are they struggling with? What do they hire us for? And then us helping them understand that objective every time we have that conversation. So there's some customers that, hey, if we all agree that it's $250 for each lead acquisition cost, that's the measurement, right? We got some companies that hire us because they just need a good web and SEO team, and they rely on us, and they need an active website. I mean, it's just, we just meet them where they're at. We're very communicative. We're available. Customers call or email us. We're actually answering the phone, servicing them. So really, it's about managing that relationship and building on that relationship with that specific customer.
It's a partnership, right? I mean, you're trying to build a relationship and not just have people drive through and drop off an order for 12 leads and then you deliver the leads,
Sure.
Which on the content side drives me crazy when people just think it's a drive-through window, right? I would like 4 blog posts, but we're not going to collaborate on that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the term lead is very subjective. And,
Right.
there's lead. Look, I'm 41 years old. I got into this space when I was 26. I feel I'm at the point now where I have some credibility in terms of being around the block. I'm yet to find one company. You hear about all these companies that generate leads, that want to sell leads, whether it's Angie's List, this, that, and the other. I'm yet to find one that works. So I'm all about architecting a relationship where there's trust, there's respect, we're doing the right things, we're driving value, we're helping customers also better understand how to nurture that lead, how to work that lead, because they might not sign and close today, but like, what are you doing to follow up with that lead? So there's so much to it, so really we talk about website design development, organic and paid, but we really come on as like an extension of the marketing team for our customers and essentially become consultants, because this is a big world and it's very confusing and it's hard to, trust somebody. So we want to be a phone call away and have that relationship and trust where, you can count on us to give you a straight, solid answer as to, yeah, I would invest in this, or maybe you should check on this. But yeah, I mean, that's really why we've been successful and what keeps me excited about this industry.
And certainly I do appreciate always, pushing that we should have websites. Every company honestly should have a website. I actually, when I hire people, contractors, I look at their website. And if
For sure.
I can't even look at anything on there, I mean, I might not even consider working with them, right? Or calling
Sure.
them, especially if others, have better looking websites. In the last couple of minutes here, Wesley, tell us, how do people reach out to your company? What exactly should they reach out to if they're not? Now I can't remember the example you gave. Window washers. No, that's not the example. Whatever the example
Water
you gave
damage.
earlier.
Yeah, water damage.
Water damage. That's you certainly work with other companies as well, right? Not just
Yeah,
one.
we're big in home services and healthcare. Healthcare in the sense of like med spa, dermatology, elective surgery. Again, we are in the world of consumers searching online for businesses, and we've aligned ourselves with the right types of home service companies, medical. To get a hold of us, simple, just highlevelmarketing.com, HIGH levelmarketing.com. You check out our website, take a look at our portfolio, our testimonials. That's really the best way to get a hold. You can personally find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any kind of questions. We have a lot of exciting things going on at High Level. We have, just customer acquisition. We sign new customers. I'm leading out our partner program, so referral partners, resellers. We just recently did an acquisition and picked up a company out of Nebraska. So there's just a lot going on. So if you're interested in, getting a non-biased feedback around your digital marketing strategy, I'm happy to take a look at it. My team's happy to look at it. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
So are these businesses mostly, they're local businesses?
Yeah, local to their market, right? So like we're in Michigan, Nashville, Texas. I mean, you don't have to be next to us to make this work. You can be in Lubbock, Texas. We're going to help you dominate your market.
So, and then basically you can make that work nationally because you move what you learn in the different geographic areas across the country, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, COVID's been great in the sense that, Zoom calls and just, we were trying to really not be hyper local in our market, and then COVID happened, which has opened up a whole new world where a lot of people now they're not fearful to work with a company at HLM if they're in Washington. Before it was like, well, I want to work with a digital marketing company that's local. Now, like that doesn't matter. That's really helped us because it never mattered, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's true. Wesley, thank you for joining us. Thanks for sharing your insights. Really appreciate your transparency.
Thanks, Christoph. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review our show on your favorite podcast channels. And don't forget to share this episode with your networks. We appreciate you. Until next time, let the best stories